Hi everyone, my name is Gillian Davidson and I'm delighted to join you in this course on gender and mining governance. Today I've been asked to draw on my experience working within global mining companies and in mining communities as a sustainability professional, and now in the boardroom as a non-executive director and as chair of International Women in Mining. You've learned in this week's module about the benefits of gender equality and how to build a business case. You've also read about a number of actions that can be taken by different actors such as yourself in the extractive sector to make a positive impact. In this talk today, I will focus on exploring more recommendations of action that can be taken from within a mining company. And while I've been asked to focus on companies, the issues and actions are relevant for all actors and for you. There are a number of key trends that we learned about in the module that shape the actions we can take. One is that we've learned that the gender agenda is good for business, from the economic and safety performance of a company to the impact we can have on society. There's a growing body of evidence that we can use to show the business benefits of increased female participation. Second, we know that access to talent is one of the most critical resource issues for the sector today. Companies are facing urgent challenges related to a changing workforce due to a bulge in retirements, an ability to attract new recruits, managing expectations of a younger workforce, and accessing the skills and expertise that we will need for the mine of tomorrow. And third, the dynamics and expectations of our host communities and other stakeholders, such as consumers and investors, are emphasizing the need for a more inclusive and participatory sector that can contribute positive impacts and support the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. So in many regards, it couldn't be a better time to be a woman in mining. We have increased dialogue and attention, growing awareness and data on the business case, as well as practical and sometimes bold actions by companies and organizations. But if gender equality is so good for business, access to talent is critical, and inclusive economies are key to the development goals, we need to scrutinize why is the average female participation in mining so low, at around 16%, depending on the data, much less if we move up management levels, with less than 10% of executive officers being women, and really unchanged since 2001. When as many global CEOs are called Andrew as there are women in the top 100 mining companies, we've got a problem. The World Economic Forum annual gender report shows that on average, it will take 117 years for gender equality to be achieved. But in mining, on our current trajectory, this would take 202 years. Despite this, when people are asked how long it will take to achieve gender equality, the average answer is 5 to 10 years and that the issue is almost solved. So there's evidence that one, we've got a disconnect between the reality and the perception. Two, the problem isn't almost fixed, nor will it fix itself. And three, asserted and conscious actions are needed and are as relevant now as ever. So given this dilemma and this call to action, I'd like to talk today about 5 recommendations to accelerate change within mining companies and to expand what you heard in your course content. I also believe these suggestions can help anyone engaged in the sector. So first is about our workforce and our teams. Look around you at your colleagues, your bosses, staff. Are there any women at the table, in the team, in the department, on the interview panel, in the training course? Teams make important decisions and are central to business operations. If there's a lack of diversity, it's important to scrutinize the policies, the procedures, and the norms, that being our behavior, which determine how we recruit, how do we select who we promote, how do we determine pay and bonuses, and how do we develop the future talent pipelines. The great news is that there are more women entering the sector than ever before. In some disciplines such as geology, it's a 50-50 gender balance at the entry level. But women are not staying, they're not being retained, and they're not being moved into leadership roles. In 2018, mining had the largest gender pay gap in the UK, apart from the construction sector. Ask yourself if your company ensures gender representation, and the answer is probably no. The Responsible Mining Foundation surveyed 30 major mining companies and found little to no evidence of efforts to strengthen gender balance in leadership and governance. Second is the role of data and the importance of collecting and sharing data. One of the biggest barriers to determining effective action is not understanding the status of women in this sector, not just in terms of numbers, although absolutely essential, but understanding the levels and types of participation and decision making, the roles that we're in, and the environments in which we work. Are women staying in this sector, moving into non-traditional roles, or being promoted? Today, we have no clear understanding or data, and so it's almost impossible to tell if we are making progress. Some companies are setting targets, though, and starting to report data. For example, in 2017, BHP, a major mining company, set a hugely ambitious goal of gender balance by 2025 and can now show over 1 in 4 employees are women, their executive are gender balanced, and have data to show how balanced teams outperform others in relation to safety and productivity. Third is access to mentoring and networks. Mentoring by women, and especially by men, has been proven to be one of the most important tools to support women in their careers by providing role models and through access to knowledge, and especially access to networks. The mentoring program at International Women in Mining identified the top 3 issues facing female mentees to be career development and how to advance, work-life balance and how that can be achieved, especially in remote and shift work roles, and building confidence to pursue opportunities and be heard. Results from mentoring programs show that it can lead to an increase in women staying in the sector and achieving promotion. Interestingly, I was a mentor in this program, and what occurred for me was the positive outcomes of reverse mentoring and the opportunity for me to learn from a mentee. I would encourage all of us to become or seek mentors. Fourth, this is also a really exciting time in our industry as we navigate the disruption of technology. But better understanding the role of technology and innovation, especially as related to digitization and automation, is an enormous opportunity for the sector to reshape traditional roles and enable new entrants and create more inclusive and less remote workplaces. If digitally transformed mines can bring more jobs to cities and allow flexible work options and virtual teams and redesign jobs, then we can enable access like never before. At the same time, the skills required for these jobs focuses on STEM, science, technology, engineering and maths, as well as computer science. All subjects and jobs where women and girls remain underrepresented. As such, without conscious workplace and job planning, and by inspiring young women, we run the risk of losing out on these opportunities. And finally, fifth, we can all draw on our own leadership. And I will say especially if you're a man, as you are more likely to be in a leadership position and have the most critical role to play in achieving gender equality through decisions and actions. But just as with safety, we each have the ability to help improve our organizations by creating the right culture, checking ourselves and others, and upholding the values of inclusivity and diversity. So to conclude, the role of women in mining has become a business and sustainability imperative for the success of our industry and to realize our potential to innovate and create value for shareholders, stakeholders, and society. There is a problem and it won't fix itself. Change and impact won't happen without the asserted action of all of us. Thank you and good luck.